Jake Morgan was not supposed to land here. He was a young human engineer, only 26 years old, sent on a simple mission: repair a broken satellite near Sector 17. But something went wrong, very wrong. A sudden energy wave struck his small craft, spinning it out of control. Lights flashed. Warnings screamed in his ears. Jake fought the controls, but his ship was falling fast. Then dash crashed out. The sky turned purple. Smoke rose from the broken remains of his ship. When Jake opened his eyes, he was alive but stranded. He unstrapped himself, grabbed his oxygen scanner, and stepped outside. The air was breathable. That was good, but something felt strange. The grass under his boots was soft and glowing faint blue. The sky was not like Earth. It had two suns and small floating islands above the land. Everything was peaceful. Too peaceful. Jake looked around. Where the hell am I? He whispered. Suddenly, he heard footsteps, soft, light, and many of them. He turned. A group of tall, beautiful alien women walked toward him. They had smooth purple skin, silver hair, and large glowing eyes. They smiled at him with warmth. Then it happened. They lifted their dresses, all of them, at the same time. Jake's mouth fell open. What the? He turned around, covering his face with his hands. Wait, stop. What are you doing? But the women only laughed. It wasn't mocking, it was friendly, cheerful. One of them, with golden rings on her arms, stepped forward and said softly, "Welcome, Earth male. You have been greeted in the Valexian way." Greeted? Jake blinked in shock. By showing me ... that. Another woman giggled. It's our custom. It means we accept you. Before Jake could say anything more, loud horns sounded from the hills. A group of armored alien guards rushed in, shouting something in a language Jake didn't understand. One of them pointed a glowing spear at the women. "Stand down," he barked in rough English. He does not know the rules of choosing. The guards separated the women from Jake, who stood frozen in place. The lead guard looked at Jake with sharp eyes. "You are not safe here. Come with me." Jake didn't argue. The guards brought him to a floating city made of crystal and gold. The place was massive. Towers reached the clouds, and bridges hung in the air. It was like something out of a dream. Jake was taken to a large room with pillars and silk curtains. A tall woman with a crown sat on a high throne. Her presence was powerful. She was the Queen of Valexia. "Human," she said in a calm, deep voice, "you are not here by chance. The planet Valexia has accepted you." Jake bowed awkwardly. I crashed here by accident. I don't mean any harm, and I didn't understand what those women were doing." The Queen smiled slightly. "Ah, yes, the greeting." She stood and walked toward him. On our world, when a female finds a male she desires, she greets him by revealing herself. It is not shameful. It is a bond ritual. Jake felt his face go red. "Okay, but I'm not here to a bond. I'm just trying to survive in contact." "My people," the Queen nodded. "I understand. But 3 females have already greeted you. You have been chosen." Jake blinked. "Chosen for what?" She stepped closer and said softly, "For mating ... or marriage, if you wish." His heart jumped. "Wait, what?" The Queen looked at him with serious eyes. "You must choose one of them, or face the trial of rejection." Jake stared at her. "Trial, that sounds bad." The Queen replied, "On Valexia, when a male refuses a female's greeting, he must prove his reasons. It is an old law." Jake raised his hands. "But I didn't ask for this. You must still answer," she said. "You have 1 full cycle hour day to decide." That night, Jake sat in the chamber given to him. It was quiet, but his mind was loud. What was this place? Why did they choose him? He thought back to the moment the women lifted their dresses. At first he was shocked, but now he wasn't sure. There was no evil in their eyes. No lust. Only ... honesty, that what if this world wasn't just strange, but beautiful in its own way? Jake stood up and walked to the window. The twin moons were rising. Somewhere out there, 3 alien women waited for his answer. He sighed. This planet is insane, he whispered. But maybe I was meant to land here after all. Jake didn't wake up in a bed. He woke up on a floating cushion, hovering 2 feet off the ground, wrapped in silk sheets that smelled like warm fruit. A soft hum came from the walls. This wasn't a dream, this was Velexia. A hologram appeared. Beside his head, showing a glowing line of text, "The Queen invites you to the Hall of Choosing." Jake groaned. Not this again. He had survived a ship crash. He had been greeted by alien women lifting their dresses. And now he was being summoned for something that sounded like a game show from another galaxy. But when he stepped outside the room, things were different. The hallway was lined with alien symbols, and 3 women were waiting for him, Zelra, Minna, and Tira, the same ones who had greeted him yesterday. They stood tall and proud, each wearing a long veil with glowing embroidery. They didn't speak. They just bowed. Jake scratched his head. "Okay, are you 3 following me now?" Zelra spoke first. "You entered the choosing circle. Now we must be present at your side." Jake blinked. "What's the choosing circle?" Tira, the tallest of the 3, said calmly, "You accepted our greeting by breathing the same air. That makes you a candidate." Jake gave her a look. "I breathe air everywhere. That doesn't mean I want to get married." Mina giggled softly, covering her mouth. "You're funny, Earthman." "That will make it harder." "Harder?" Jake asked. "To say no," she said with a wink. The Queen's Hall was like a crystal ocean, massive, cold, echoing. Jake stood in the center, surrounded by silent alien nobles. Everyone stared at him. The Queen entered, wearing a gown that sparkled like moving stars. She raised her hand, and all went quiet. "Jake Morgan of Earth," she said, "you have been greeted by 3 of our daughters. As Valexian law demands, you must now learn the rule of choosing." Jake muttered, "Here we go." The Queen continued, her voice echoing through the hall. "When a female lifts her veil to a male, it means she is willing to share life, blood, and future. When 3 do so, it is rare. When the male is not of our kind, it is sacred." Jake stepped forward. "With respect, Your Majesty, I don't want to insult anyone, but I didn't ask for this. I'm just a technician from Earth. I fix satellites. I don't even have a girlfriend, let alone a space wife." Whispers spread through the hall. The Queen raised an eyebrow. "You stand between custom and change, Jake Morgan. If you reject the 3, you must face the trial. But if you choose 1, she becomes your shield, and you become hers." Jake frowned. "Shield?" Zelra stepped forward now, her voice clear. "It means we protect each other always. In Velexia, love begins not with kisses, but with choice under pressure." Later, in a private garden, Jake finally sat down with the 3 alien women. Zelra sat beside him, watching the moonflowers bloom. "We don't expect you to love us instantly. But choosing is not about love at first. It's about intention. If your heart wants to understand, that's enough." Jake looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time. Not as a purple-skinned alien, but as a person. "But what if I don't choose anyone?" Tyra's voice came from behind him. "Then we say goodbye. You leave Velexia alone." Minna added, "But first, you face a trial. And the trial is not easy, especially for off-worlders." Jake stood up. "What kind of trial?" Zelra looked at him seriously. "A test of character. You will be challenged not with weapons, but with truth. They will ask you, 'Why did you reject us?' And your answer must be worthy." As the night deepened, Jake sat alone under a glowing tree. The sky shimmered with blue comets. He whispered to himself, "This planet is testing me, but maybe it's also teaching me." Somewhere deep inside, He felt a pull not to escape, but to understand. Maybe the real question wasn't why he crashed here. Maybe it was, who will he become now that he has? Jake was dreaming of Earth, the sound of ocean waves, the smell of coffee, the warmth of the sun. Then a loud horn blasted through the palace. Boom! Jake's eyes flew open. The ground beneath him shook slightly. The golden room he slept in, lit up with red lights. The walls spoke in a calm female voice. Attention, human Jake Morgan. Your trial begins now. Jake sat up in bed. Wait, what? Now? Within minutes, armored guards came into the room. They didn't drag him, but they didn't wait either. Jake was given a dark ceremonial robe and guided through silent halls. No one smiled. No one spoke. Outside in the center of the Valexian capital, a huge round arena stood glowing like fire. Thousands of aliens had gathered. A silver platform floated in the center with one glowing chair in the middle. Jake was led to it. As he sat down, he realized this wasn't a trial like court. This was a trial of the soul. The Queen's voice echoed from above. Jake Morgan of Earth, you have not yet chosen. 3 Valexian daughters offered you greeting. You remained undecided. The crowd murmured softly. You have one chance. The Queen continued. Explain to us why you reject the choosing. Jake stood, nervous. His voice cracked. I didn't mean to offend anyone. I didn't even understand the customs. I came here by accident. No one is angry, the Queen said. But intention matters. Your answer must show truth. Speak it clearly. Jake took a deep breath. I don't know how to choose someone I just met. Where I come from, love takes time. I don't know Zelra, Mina, or Tyra well enough. I respect them, but I can't lie and pretend I'm ready. He looked up at the Queen. Isn't honesty better than a forced bond? The arena went silent. Then came the twist. A woman stepped forward from the crowd. She wore warrior armor and had cold eyes. She raised her arm and declared, I challenge his answer. I say this human is afraid, not honest. Gasps spread. Queen nodded. Challenge accepted. The trial must continue. Jake frowned. What now? Zelra stepped out from the audience and walked straight to him. Her voice was calm, but strong. He doesn't fight, I do. The crowd exploded in noise. Jake shouted, What are you doing? Zelra didn't look back. This is our way. If I win, your words will be accepted. If I lose ... they won't. The Queen raised her hand. Zelra, daughter of House Lunara, you stand as shield for the human? I do, she said without fear. Jake whispered, stunned, Why would you do this for me? Zelra glanced at him once. Because I believe you. Even if you don't choose me, I still choose you. The arena changed. The center became a circle of glowing light. Zelra stepped inside. Across from her, the challenger entered twice. Her size holding a long spear. Jake watched. Frozen, a horn sounded. The fight began. Zelra moved like a shadow, quick, graceful. She dodged, struck, rolled. The challenger was strong, but Zelra was smart. She didn't need to overpower, she needed to survive. Jake couldn't look away. Every time Zelra was knocked down, she got back up. Every hit she took, she turned into movement. The crowd began to cheer, not just for the fight, but for her will. After several minutes, Zelra flipped behind the challenger and placed her palm on the opponent's back. Light flared. Match over. Victory. The Queen stood. The human's truth is accepted. He is free from choosing, yet honored for his courage. Zelra fell to one knee, breathing hard. Jake ran to her side. You didn't have to do that, he said softly. Zelra looked up at him with tired eyes. Yes, I did, because no one else saw what I saw in you. Jake held her hand without thinking. In that moment, the people of Valexia saw something more powerful than tradition. That they saw something human, something real. Asterisk. Zelra didn't wake up in a healing chamber. She woke up in a garden made of stars. Tiny, glowing flowers floated above her. The grass pulsed like it was breathing. Cool mist touched her skin, and soft music filled the air. She tried to sit up, but a warm hand stopped her. Easy, Jake said gently. You've been asleep for 3 days. Her eyes opened slowly. You stayed? Jake smiled. Of course I stayed. You fought for me. Zelra sat up with a soft groan. Her ribs still ached, but her heart was light. You don't understand, she whispered. No human has ever been defended in a trial and survived. Jake shrugged. Then maybe I'm the first. Zelra turned her head. No, you're not just the first. You're changing everything. Jake looked around. What is this place? It's the memory garden, she replied. A sacred place. Only those who fight with honor are allowed to rest here. Jake raised an eyebrow. Do all the glowing flowers float like that? Zelra smiled weakly. Each one holds a story of a Valexian who died protecting someone they loved. Jake fell quiet. Then Zelra asked softly, Do you want to know why we lift our dresses when we greet males? Jake blushed. Honestly, yes. I thought it was weird at first. Zelra looked up at the glowing petals and began to speak. Long ago, she said, Valexia was at war. The males were killed off. Only the females remained scared, alone, hiding in caves and mountains. But then, one brave woman stepped into the enemy's camp alone. She took off her weapons. She lifted her robe. And she said, I come not to fight, but to offer trust. The enemy did not kill her. They listened. That one act ended the war. Since then, Zelra said, lifting our dress before a male became a way to show peace, trust, and acceptance. Jake nodded slowly. So it's not about sex? Zelra chuckled softly. No, silly human. It's about risking your pride to build connection. Our bodies are not shameful. Our intentions matter more. Jake's expression softened. Then, I judged too quickly. You're not the first, Zelra said kindly. Most outsiders see us as strange, but you you stayed. Just then, a royal messenger arrived. Jake Morgan. The Queen wishes to see you, urgently. Zelra frowned. Now he's still recovering, but Jake stood. It's okay. I'll go. I want to understand more. Before leaving, he gently touched Zelra's hand. Thank you, he said. Zelra blinked. For what? For showing me what's beneath the dress, he said with a wink. Not your body, but your truth. In the palace throne room, Jake stood before the Queen again. But this time, the energy was different. The Queen stepped down from her throne. You've brought honor to our people. You faced the trial with honesty. And you survived. Jake nodded slowly. But I still don't know if I belong here. The Queen's tone turned serious. That is why I called you. Something has happened. The people are divided. Some want to change the greeting custom. Others demand it remain. Jake looked confused. Why me? Because you caused it, she said. And now, you must decide. Stay as a guest or step forward as a symbol. Jake took a step back. I'm not a leader. I'm just a guy who fixes machines. The Queen smiled gently. Sometimes, a single spark changes the sky. Later that night, Jake returned to the garden. Zelra sat beneath the floating flowers, watching their light dance in the air. He sat beside her and said, They want me to choose, not just a person, but a path. Zelra looked at him with tired eyes. Then choose the one that makes your heart feel like it's flying. Jake stared at her. For the first time, he didn't see an alien. He saw someone brave, kind, and real. And in that moment, he whispered, I think I'm done running. Asterisk. Jake didn't mean to break a law. All he did was touch her face. It happened under the starflowers, quiet and soft. Zelra was sitting beside him, telling him about her childhood in the Sky Cities, when a single tear rolled down her cheek. Jake wiped it away. That's all. But in Valexian tradition, a human touching a female's bare face during moonrise was more than comfort. It was bonding. It was the start of a soul link. And now, everything was changing. The very next morning, Jake was summoned again, this time not by the queen, but by the high order of elders. They didn't smile. They didn't bow. They stared at him like he was a loaded weapon. You touched her during moonrise, one elder said flatly. With full skin contact, Jake scratched his head. She was crying. I didn't mean anything by it. Another elder hissed. Intentions do not stop the binding flow. You may have started a permanent link. Jake blinked. A what now? Zelra entered the room, her face pale. Jake, she said softly, our bodies have strange energy during moonrise. When you touched me, our biofields mixed. Now, your DNA is reacting. Jake stepped back. My DNA. Wait, am I mutating or something? Zelra placed a hand on his chest. Not mutating, but adapting. You may never survive on Earth again. Later, in the palace medlab, Jake lay under a scanning beam. His blood cells floated on a holoscreen. The results made the room go silent. The human doctor assigned to him, an older woman from Earth named Dr. Perez, spoke first. This shouldn't be possible, she whispered. But your body is changing, fast. Jake looked at her. Changing? How? Your immune system is syncing with Valexian patterns, she explained. Your lungs are adjusting to the air. Your brain is forming new sensory connections. She looked him dead in the eyes. If this continues, you'll no longer be just human. You'll be something else. Jake sat up, stunned. Can we stop it? Zelra, standing nearby, looked away. No, she said softly. The bond has started. The queen called a private meeting that night. She looked tired, almost. Worried. Jake, she said calmly, you've broken an ancient law. Not out of rebellion, but because your heart moved too fast. Jake lowered his head. So what now? Am I punished? The queen shook her head. You are not punished. But you must choose your path now. There is no going halfway. She stepped closer. Remain here and finish the bond. Become part of Valexia. Or leave immediately, before the transformation completes. Jake turned to Zelra. Her eyes glowed softly, full of fear and hope. He whispered, If I finish the bond, what happens? Zelra's lips trembled. Then you and I will be linked forever. In mind, in life, in pain, in joy. That night, Jake stood at the edge of a glowing cliff. Below him, the ocean sparkled like liquid stars. A shuttle waited behind him, his last ride back to Earth. In his hand was a small stone, gifted by Zelra. It had her house symbol carved in it. He looked at the sky, then at the stone. His body felt different now. His hands shook, not from fear, but from change. He was becoming something new. A soft voice echoed behind him. You still have time, Zelra whispered, but not much. Jake turned, looked into her glowing eyes, and asked, Are you afraid? Zelra nodded. Yes, but I'd rather be afraid with you than fearless without you. Jake stepped away from the shuttle. And for the first time since he crashed here. He felt like he was finally home. Asterisk, the sky cracked open. A giant Earth Alliance ship descended through the purple clouds like a falling star. It was sharp, silver, and loud, so different from the soft beauty of Valexia. Jake didn't cheer. He didn't smile. He just watched. Silently. This was his ride home. But his heart didn't move. All of Valexia watched from below. The Earth ship hovered just above the mountains. A voice came through Jake's earpiece. Lieutenant Jake Morgan, this is Commander Harris of the Aegis Dawn. You have 24 hours to board. Extraction confirmed. Jake didn't answer. He just looked over his shoulder. Zelra was standing behind him, but she wasn't alone. Beside her stood a tall, battle-scarred Valexian man, her old bondmate. Jake blinked. "Who's that?" Zelra looked down. "Someone from my past. Before the war." The man stepped forward. "I was gone, missing, presumed dead. But I'm back now." Jake's chest tightened. "Are you here to take her back?" "No," the man replied. "She chose you. But I had to look you in the eyes and say, if you hurt her, I'll return. And this time, I won't vanish." Then he left just like that. Zelra sat beside Jake under a floating lantern tree that night. Neither spoke for a while. Then she whispered, "You can still go." Jake stayed quiet. She added, "You'll return to Earth, be normal again. No more confusion, no more alien rules." Jake looked at her, his voice low, "But no more you either." Zelra's fingers curled around his. "Don't choose me out of guilt. Choose me because your soul tells you this is where you belong." Jake sighed. "What if I belong in both places?" Zelra smiled sadly. "Then you'll always feel half empty, no matter where you go." The next morning, Jake stood at the edge of the shuttle ramp. The rescue team waited inside. He could already feel his chest tightening. Valexia's air was becoming too easy to breathe, too natural, too permanent. One step forward, and Earth was his again. One step back, and he'd never return. Then something strange happened. A group of Valexian children ran up behind him and placed a crown of light vines on his head. "You helped our sister," one said. "You taught us humans have hearts," said another. Jake knelt down. "Why are you doing this?" A tiny girl smiled. "Because if you leave now, we want you to remember that you mattered here." Back inside the palace, the queen watched the shuttle from her crystal balcony. She turned to Zelra. "Do you think he'll stay?" Zelra shook her head slowly. "I don't know." Then, from the far end of the sky, the shuttle began to rise. Zelra's breath caught in her throat, but just before it entered the clouds, it stopped. The engines dimmed. The ship turned, and from the exit ramp, Jake jumped down, falling fast, landing hard but alive. Covered in dust, he walked through the silence right up to Zelra and said 3 words. "I choose this." She laughed and cried at the same time. And when their hands touched again, something deeper awakened in both of them. Not just a bond, but something sacred. From the palace above, the queen whispered to her advisors, "The human didn't just survive Valexia, he became part of it." The next time a Valexian woman lifted her dress, she didn't do it alone. Standing beside her was a human male, smiling proudly, holding her hand. The crowd gasped. The queen stood up. And the entire culture of Valexia shifted in one single breath. Jake Morgan, the human who crash-landed on a strange world, was now the reason old customs were being rewritten. After the bond, Jake and Zelra didn't hide. They walked together through markets, gardens, and sacred halls as equals. Some stared, some whispered, but many smiled because something new was blooming in Vlex. A Kalan choice. Inside the Great Hall of Records, Jake stood beside the Queen and the High Council. "I never meant to change your world," Jake said humbly. "I only tried to understand it." The Queen replied, "And by understanding it, you helped us grow." A new law was carved into the crystal walls that day. From now on, the greeting must be mutual. No gesture will be forced. And no one, human or Valexian, will ever be chosen without choosing back. The crowd erupted in cheers. Zelra squeezed Jake's hand. "You did it." Jake looked at her, smiling. "We did." Later that evening, children danced in the glowing city square. Tiny holograms of humans and aliens holding hands lit the sky. Music echoed through the air, both earth beats and Valexian tones, blending into something beautifully strange. Jake and Zelra watched from a balcony. He leaned in. So, are there any more customs I should know about? Zelra grinned playfully. Yes, but those are private, Jake laughed. Should I be scared? She whispered. Only if you run. He didn't. Back at the crash site, his broken ship still sat half buried in the blue grass. Jake walked to it one last time. He placed a hand on the metal. Thank you, he said softly. If you hadn't failed, I would have never found where I was meant to be. He turned and walked away, not looking back. In time, the galaxy would come to know Velexia not just for its customs, but for the story of a human who refused to mock fear or flee from what was different. A man who stayed, a man who listened, a man who loved, and because of that, the world changed. Final scene. On a warm Valexian morning, Jake was surrounded by young students, both human and alien. He stood at a glowing board, teaching them about Earth tools and space repairs. One curious Valexian boy raised his hand. Is it true that humans greet by shaking hands? Jake smiled. Yes, that's our way of showing trust, the boy giggled. That's so boring. The class laughed. Jake just smiled wider. Maybe, but sometimes boring is good. Especially after everything I've been through. Outside the classroom, Zelra waited smiling, proud, glowing with quiet strength. Jake walked out, kissed her hand and said, "Let's go home." And they did, together.